I met Emily when I was in college, and honestly, I thought I'd found the girl I'd marry. She was smart, confident, a little bitchy sometimes, but I liked that about her. She knew what she wanted and she wasn't afraid to tell you. We started dating and everything seemed perfect, at least on the surface. We got engaged a year later and things looked even better. At least, that's what I thought. The first sign something was off didn't come immediately, but looking back, there were little things, weird texts, her being unusually distant sometimes, or her avoiding conversations about her work. She worked at a marketing firm, nothing fancy, but she was ambitious. Still, I never suspected anything really serious until the night of our wedding rehearsal dinner. That night, everything changed. We were at a nice restaurant with most of our friends and family, everyone excited, and Emily was acting. Weird. Not outright suspicious, but there was this sharp edge to her usual confident attitude. She was texting someone during dinner, and I noticed because she kept sneaking her phone under the table, hiding the screen from everyone. I tried to ignore it at first, telling myself she was just making plans or replying to her sister, but then I saw the messages. They weren't about the wedding plans or family stuff. They weren't even about work. They were flirty, suggestive, downright inappropriate. She was sending Mark, her coworker, the kind of messages that made my stomach turn. "Can't wait to see you tonight," one said. Another one, "You're so bad I can't stop thinking about last night." I froze. My mind raced. Last night. What the hell was she talking about? She had been acting tired all week, but she'd told me she was just stressed at work. I saw her quickly delete the messages after she caught me staring. Her face went stiff, eyes wide with that bitchy smirk she always wore when she was lying. She told me she was joking around with Mark, that they were just friends and I was overthinking it. She actually had the nerve to roll her eyes and laugh it off, saying, "You're so paranoid. Mark is just a coworker and I was just joking. Calm down." But I knew better. You don't send those kinds of messages to someone you're just friends with. Not at all. That night after the dinner, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what I saw, the way she lied so easily, and the fact that she had been hiding all of this from me. It hit me hard. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew I had to find out the truth. So I started digging secretly right then and there. I went through her phone, her emails, her social media, trying to find any proof, and what I found made my blood boil. There were dozens of texts between her and Mark, more than just the flirty stuff. They were talking about meeting up, about getting away for a weekend, about sex, explicit details. I found pictures of her in bed with him just a few days before the wedding. She'd been lying to my face all this time. Honestly, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The betrayal was so deep I felt physically sick. How could she do this? How could she lie to me about everything, especially at such a crucial moment? I was furious, but at the same time I was devastated. I had trusted her. I thought we were building a future. Instead, she was sneaking around behind my back, fooling everyone, including herself, I guess. I kept telling myself I needed to confront her soon, but the anger was building inside me. It was like I was walking around with a ticking bomb in my chest, waiting for the right moment to explode. I didn't know what I was going to say yet, but I knew I couldn't keep this hidden much longer. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying everything I saw, her messages, her lies, those pictures. I couldn't believe I had been so blind, so naive. The woman I loved, the woman I was about to marry, had been sneaking around with Mark, her coworker, pretending everything was fine. It was like a punch to the gut every time I thought about it. I kept asking myself, how did I miss all of this? How did I not see the signs? By morning, I knew I couldn't keep quiet. I had to confront her, but I also needed a plan. I didn't want to blow up everything without thinking. I needed to be calm, calculated. Revenge wouldn't come from an emotional outburst. It had to be cold, deliberate. I spent hours trying to figure out how to approach her, what to say, what I wanted from this. Part of me wanted to tear her apart, to make her feel guilty, to make her see what she threw away. But deep down, I just wanted her to admit it, to tell me the truth no matter how much it hurt. So I waited until she came home from work. When she walked into the apartment, I was already sitting on the couch, my arms folded, face cold. She looked surprised, like she thought I didn't know anything. She tried to brush past me, acting normal, but I stopped her. "We need to talk," I said. My voice was steady, but inside I was trembling. She rolled her eyes, trying to dismiss me, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it that easily. "Don't play dumb, Emily," I said. "I know everything. I saw the messages, the pictures. I know about Mark." Her face flickered with a brief flash of anger, then she put on that damned smirk again. She laughed like I was overreacting and said, "You're crazy. You're just jealous because I won't kiss your ass anymore." That was it. I was done with her act. I pulled out my phone and started showing her the evidence I had gathered, screenshots of her explicit messages, the photos, the chat logs. Her face turned red and her voice rose. "You're stalking me now? Seriously? You're making this a huge deal over nothing?" I stared at her, disbelief and rage tightening my chest. "Nothing, nothing. You've been lying to me for months. You've been sleeping with Mark. You've been sneaking around, sending him sex messages, pictures. How can you call that nothing? You're trash, Emily, complete trash." She started crying, but it wasn't the tears of someone who was sorry. It was the tears of someone who knew she was caught. She kept insisting she was just having fun, that Mark was just a coworker, that I was paranoid, that I was losing it. She called me insecure and accused me of spying on her because I was afraid of losing her. The more she talked, the more furious I became. How could she be so bitchy, so unrepentant? How could she lie to my face and then turn around and blame me for everything? I told her I wasn't going to accept it anymore, that I was done pretending everything was okay. I felt nothing but rage and heartbreak. My trust was shattered. I was staring at the woman I loved, who now seemed like a stranger, someone I didn't recognize. The betrayal had cut so deep I didn't know how to even look at her anymore. I wanted to scream, to shout, but I kept my voice controlled, knowing I had to be careful about what I said next. Still inside, I was boiling. That confrontation marked the beginning of a long, dark chapter. I knew I had to decide what I was going to do about her and Mark and everything that came along with it. The shock, the anger, they were just the start. The real pain was realizing I had been played, lied to, and used, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not without a fight. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't look at Emily the same way. Her words, her attitude, everything felt like a lie. I spent days just spiraling, trying to process what I'd uncovered. The betrayal was so raw, so deep that I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages, those pictures. I felt like I'd been punched repeatedly in the stomach, and honestly, I was furious. Furious at her, furious at myself for trusting her so blindly, and furious at Mark for being so damn reckless. But even in the middle of all that anger, a part of me started to think about how I could turn this around. I wanted to hurt her the way she hurt me. I wanted her to feel the betrayal, the pain, the humiliation I was feeling. I didn't want to just walk away quietly. No, I needed a plan, and it had to be calculated. I started thinking about how to revenge, how to make her realize what she'd lost. I couldn't just confront her again and demand she end it. She'd probably deny everything, gaslight me, or make herself the victim. No, I needed to be smarter. I started gathering evidence, more than I already had. I wanted to show her that I wasn't just some fool she could lie to, that I was willing to fight back. I kept digging through her emails, her social media, her phone. I wanted to find something more, something that would really hit her where it hurt. One night, I stumbled across something that made my blood run cold, texts between her and Mark, discussing their plans to meet up again. But what really caught my attention was a message from her saying, "Can't wait to finally be with you tonight. I hate pretending with him." That was the moment I decided I was going to make her regret everything. I wasn't just going to leave her or forgive her. No, I was going to give her a taste of her own medicine. I set up a plan. I knew she had a complicity in the whole mess, but I also knew I had to be cautious. I started pretending everything was normal, acting like I didn't know, but I kept gathering data. I wanted her to think I was clueless, that I was just going through the motions. Meanwhile, I was preparing to strike back. I wanted her to feel the chaos, the betrayal, just as I had. My plan was simple but cruel. Make her realize that I knew everything and that I was capable of exposing her. I collected every piece of evidence I could find, kept it hidden, and waited for the right moment. I didn't want to be impulsive. I wanted her to see she was cornered. I wanted her to know I was serious. The thought of her lying, cheating, and then dismissing it all as nothing made me sick. But I also knew I couldn't just dump all this on her right away. I needed to be patient, calculated. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't stay in this limbo. I had to make a move. Either I'd find a way to confront her in a way that left her vulnerable, or I'd walk away and cut her out entirely. Either way, I was done being the fool. I knew I was capable of making her hurt just as much as she'd hurt me. That's what drove me. I had nothing left to lose and everything to gain from turning the tables. I spent the next couple of days planning my next move, waiting for her to slip up again, waiting for the right moment to finally let her see that I wasn't just some mug. She could cheat on and betray without consequences. I was ready to make her regret ever crossing that line. Sorry, but I wasn't going to let her get away with this just because she was bitchy and manipulative. I was done playing nice. The day I finally decided to make my move, everything felt like it was falling into place. I knew her routine, her habits, her weak spots. She was working late that night, always texting Mark about some new project at work, pretending it was innocent. But I had seen enough. I had everything I needed, screenshots, messages, even some photos I secretly took of her in the act just last week. That evening I pretended to be normal like I hadn't seen anything. She came home, wearing that typical bitchy smirk, acting like she owned the world. I was calm, almost cold. I didn't want her to see how much her betrayal had affected me. Instead, I played it cool, waiting for her to slip up again. I decided I'd reveal everything when she least expected it, make her regret every lie she told. It was about 8 p.m. when she finally made her move. I was sitting on the couch, acting like I was just relaxing when she got up and went to the bedroom. I followed her, pretending to be casual, and saw her quickly hide her phone under the pillow. That was my cue. I knew she was messing around again, or at least trying to. I pulled out my own phone, started recording her just in case. Then I cornered her. She spun around, eyes wide, trying to act innocent. I showed her the screenshots, the photos, the chat logs. Face twisted in anger, denial, and frustration. "You're crazy," she spat, her voice full of contempt. "I'm just talking with Mark. You're blowing this all out of proportion. You're insecure, that's all." But I wasn't having any of it. I laid everything out slow and deliberate, letting her see I had taken everything, that I knew the real story. Her facade cracked. She started yelling, calling me possessive, jealous, a paranoid idiot. She stood there, mad as hell, trying to twist everything around. But I was done listening to her lies. I told her, "You can keep pretending, Emily, but I know the truth now, and I'm not going to let this go." Then, almost casually, I pulled out my phone again and I threatened to send all of this evidence to everyone, her friends, her family, her coworkers. I knew she'd hate that. I knew she'd go ballistic. Her bitchy attitude turned into panic and she started crying, begging me not to ruin her life. But I didn't care anymore. That moment, I finally felt in control for the first time. She yelled, called me every name in the book, accused me of stalking her, of being crazy. She insisted she loved me secretly, that Mark was just a fling, that she'd never leave me. It was all bullshit. I saw through her. I knew she'd been lying the entire time, pretending to be the perfect wife. That's when I realized she wasn't worth it. All the bullshit, the lies, the cheating, they all showed me what kind of person she really was. I told her that I'd had enough, that I was done playing her game. I gave her an ultimatum: tell the truth, end it with Mark, or I'd ruin her. And I meant it. I pressed send on the messages, the pictures, everything, watching her face twist with shock, anger, and pure helplessness. That was the moment I knew I had finally hit her where it hurt. That was the revenge I needed. I didn't just want her to feel betrayed. I wanted her to feel powerless, humiliated as I had. From that point, everything started unraveling fast. She begged, pleaded, even tried to manipulate me into forgiving her, but I was past that. I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to stay with someone who lied, cheated, and treated me like dirt. And honestly, it felt good, really good, to see her finally realize I wasn't some fool anymore. That's when I knew I was heading for a new chapter, one where I wouldn't be blind and I wouldn't be played anymore. After I sent everything, Emily's reaction was priceless. She went from yelling to crying to begging in a span of minutes. She looked genuinely defeated, which I guess was what I wanted. Seeing her like that, so exposed and helpless, made me feel a strange mix of satisfaction and emptiness. Because even though I had finally uncovered her lies and made her face the consequences, I knew this wasn't going to be easy. She tried to spin her way out of it, still insisting she loved me, that Mark was just a stupid mistake, that she'd never do it again. But I knew better. I saw the messages, the pictures, the way she'd been lying for months. She wasn't sorry, she was just trying to save herself. That's when I realized how deeply she'd betrayed me. It wasn't just about a fling or a secret affair. It was about her deception, her playing me for months, pretending to be the perfect wife when she was cheating behind my back. I told her that I needed some time to think. I wasn't angry anymore, at least not the kind of furious rage I felt before. Now I just felt numb. All I wanted was to get out of that apartment, to breathe, to disconnect from her. I packed a bag, told her I'd be staying at my brother's place for a while, and left her standing there, crying, pleading, trying to cling to what was left of her marriage. That was the moment I truly started to think about my next move. Was I going to forgive her? Was there a way back from this? Honestly, I didn't believe so. My heart was broken and trust was completely shattered. But I also knew I'd have to decide whether I wanted to try to work things out or just cut ties for good. As I drove away that night, I knew one thing: my life would never be the same. I had been betrayed in the worst way, and now I had to figure out how to rebuild from the wreckage. Looking back, I realize how much this whole thing has changed me, not just as a husband, but as a person. It's taught me that no matter how much you trust someone, you can still get blindsided. That some betrayals cut so deep, they leave scars you never fully heal. But it's also shown me that I'm stronger than I thought, capable of uncovering lies and standing up for myself. I don't regret what I did because I finally took control. I finally exposed her for who she really was. So yeah, I'm still hurt, still trying to process everything. But I also feel a strange sense of relief. I'm not the fool anymore. I don't know what the future holds, whether I'll ever fully get over this or find someone who's worth trusting again. But one thing for sure, I won't be blind next time. And if you're in a similar situation, my advice is this: trust your gut, gather your evidence, and don't be afraid to fight back. Because sometimes the only way to see the truth is to take control and make the liar face it. In the weeks that followed, I focused on healing myself. The house felt empty without her, and every corner echoed with memories I was trying to erase. It was hard, but I knew I had to move on. I started seeing a counselor, talking through the betrayal, trying to come to terms with what had happened. It wasn't easy. Trusting someone again, especially after such a deep betrayal, seemed almost impossible. I also made it a point to cut her out of my life completely. No calls, no texts, no social media. I wanted to erase the image of her sneaking around, lying, pretending everything was fine. That pain, that feeling of being used, it's something I don't think I'll ever fully get rid of, but I learned to live with it. I focused on myself, my work, my friends, my passions. The betrayal was a wake-up call, and it pushed me to be better, stronger. Looking back, I realize I dodged a bullet. Yes, it hurt like hell, but this experience taught me something about myself: how much I was willing to tolerate, and how much I deserved respect and honesty. I've learned that no matter how much you love someone, if they betray you like that, it's better to walk away than to stay and be beaten down. I've also learned that revenge isn't about petty payback. It's about reclaiming your dignity and showing yourself that you're better than the lies they tried to sell. I don't regret exposing her. Honestly, I feel like I freed myself from a lie I was living. I've come to accept that some people are just not worth the pain they cause. I still get angry sometimes, at her, at Mark, at the whole situation. But I also feel a sense of closure now. It took a lot of courage to face the truth, but I did it, and I came out stronger on the other side. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this: trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. But honesty, respect, and integrity, those are what truly matter. Don't ignore the signs, don't dismiss your feelings, and don't let anyone make you feel like you're overreacting when you sense something's wrong. Stand your ground, gather your evidence if needed, and don't be afraid to walk away if someone shows you who they really are. Because, in the end, you have to look out for yourself. And trust me, you're worth it.